So in the first video, you've seen how we link the two systems together. We've imported our websites and store views, and we worked a bit on our shipping and payment methods to even better align the two systems. But for now, I want to dive a little deeper into catalog management, or the PIM module, as some customers would say. And let's first have a look at my demo store here. And as you can see, it's a pretty standard Hoover template that we're looking at, that we always use to emphasize that we are no Magento front-end developers or no designers. That is something you do with your local agency. We do everything but that. But besides this being a very basic store, it is one that has a lot of different items in it. Here's my keyboard. That's the product we'll be focusing on later in this demo. But I'm also selling cables. Like, this is an item that comes in different variations, or in Business Central speak, this is item plus item variants. And all the item variants have their own characteristics. They have their own price. They have their own inventory. And the same we have here with the paint, although presented differently. But again, this is a Magento configurable item. We do the same with the tires here, but then this is items and item variants and displayed in the form of a group product here in Magento. But all these complex type of products are possible with the integration as well. Here's another different type of an item. This is just an item actually, but then with a custom option on it. In this type of business, people usually buy these products way before they are grown. So we needed an extra input field with allowing the users to select a certain batch or week number from which they want to buy these products. So all kinds of complex product types are possible as well, but for today I just want to focus on my keyboard here. And let's do another video on the configurable and group product, and even another one on the custom options. So here's my simple single product. It has a short description, it has a longer description, it has all kinds of images, it even has a video specified, and it has a bunch of attributes down here. It has a product attachment, so there's a fact sheet document attached here, and there's a related product. So yeah, a good example of a standard or a basic product with lots of different content on it. Now, in a standalone setup, you would go into the Magento backend in order to work on the product and also on the categories and the subcategories. But in our situation here, actually customers never log on to the Magento backend. We allow you to manage everything from directly from within Business Central. At the lowest level in catalog management, you'll find attributes. And just as you would normally manage all your attributes on the Magento side, we've brought that all over to Business Central. And as you can see, I now have all my Magento attributes listed here. I have all different kind of data types, like my brand attribute here, which is a drop-down. You can work on the options, but having all this here in Business Central also allows you to directly specify whether an item should be part, or an attribute should be part of the so-called layered navigations. That's the filtering that you see on the left in the website. Whether an attribute has to be visible at all, or whether it should be included in the search. All these things can be managed directly from here, from within Business Central. So this is a brand attribute, a drop-down attribute, but we also support visual swatch. We have multi-select attributes. We have all kinds of additional attribute functionalities, like the EEN code here. You can see that this is a mapped attribute. So beyond all the standard configuration you can work on, you can also define a mapping, which comes in, there's different types of mapping. There's a manual mapping like this one here, where you can say, okay, this points to table 27. We're putting the relation is field number 1, and we're actually pulling field 1217, which is the GTIN field, as that's the US name for what in Europe we call EAN code. I want to pull that information from the item card and I want that to become an attribute value. And once you've turned an attribute into a mapped attribute, you don't have to maintain the value. The value will automatically come from the source where you point it to. And here's our two fancy attributes, like the first delivery date and last delivery date we have in the system here. That's also an attribute we had on our keyboard. This is a calculated attribute. So you see the mapping type here is a predefined mapping. Someone has created a code unit that holds the logic on how the value for this attribute is pulled from the source and then turned into an attribute value. And in this case, it's looking at the promised receipt date on the first promised purchase line in Business Central. So effectively calculating a value that can be used when an item goes out of stock to be able to tell the user when this is potentially back in stock or can first be delivered again. So all kinds of things you can do with attributes. And once you've worked your way through your attributes, it's time to define your attribute sets. And as you saw in my demo, I'm selling all kinds of different items. So I also have a whole lot of attribute sets. So for my fashion item, for instance, just as you would normally do on the Magento side, you have a couple of groups in which you then put the attributes that you want to work with. So here I've created a group called configurable to actually hold my configurable attributes, and I put in color and size and the additional color group as well. And we have something about branding, and then we have two more attributes in a group called specification, where we have the use type and the waterproof indicator. So once you've done this, you've set up your attributes, you've set up your attribute sets, it's time to start promoting some Business Central items to become actual Magento items. There's another layer of functionality that can be used here in between. You can define templates which have attribute sets as a part of them and all kinds of other settings, but that would be something for one of the next videos. Let's now first head over to our standard item list. That's this one over here. And as we all know, this list and the card as well, it has over 200 fields already. So we decided not to interfere any more than necessary with this list. We just added this one indicator here telling you whether this is a Magento item or not. And if we now quickly open this one here, the demo item, which is not a Magento item, you can see what we've done on the card. Again, the card has way too many fields already, so we decided to just add this one interactive status field here. The interactive status field follows the life of each item from being a non-web item to eventually being a Magento item, which is continuously kept in sync between BC and Magento. And the first time you click it, it will do as it will say. It will to create a new Magento item, or it will register this item to become a Magento item. And every next time you open the card, but let's do that here. Let's go to our keyboard. It will just have the latest status on that item, and you could just click it and it will do whatever you would expect it to do. So first it will register the item, and the second time it will just open our Magento item detail card in Business Central. That's where we are now. And this is a whole new area. This is a card with a lot of functionality on it that we add to Business Central. This is where you can work on your item type, you can select an attribute, set code, you can work on status and visibility. And when you think Magento has more, well, we do too, but we typically hide the more advanced fields behind the show more, show less functionality here. But yes, all the advanced features are here as well. You can define when this item should be marked as new. You can work on your special prices. You can work on your URL keys. You can work on the metadata fields. You can even specify which of the two weight fields that will be used for the weight that we're going to work with in Magento. So let's close this again. Let's look at inventory. Inventory again. Basic settings, but there's always more. So of course this is not a value, this is the outcome of a formula. By default, the formula is available inventory minus a quantity on sales order. We even support the use of the MSI module. So as you can see here, I have my default source, but I also have my Amsterdam store, which actually is out of stock. But then my e-com warehouse has a whole lot of items still left. And you could have used as many locations as you wanted to. You can define how the system should behave when an item goes out of stock. You can even work on those minimum and maximum quantity allowed. Or if you want to sell these by the 4 or 12, that's also something you can do directly here in this area. Here's your short description that doesn't need too much explanation. The longer description, and then down here's your categories. You can add an item to as many categories as you want. The whole category list is available, of course, and later on we will look at category management as well. And here's your images. You can just drag and drop any new image here onto the blue plus sign, and they will automatically be uploaded and forwarded to Magento as well. You can even go as far as defining the base image directly here on this list. Or you can actually define all the roles or set all the roles for these for the images here. Now by default, as you can see, there's a storage type here. By default, the items go into the database. But if you have a larger catalog, if it would be too much to store in your Business Central database, we have the ability to switch to an Azure Storage location so that you can offload most of the data and store it on a cheap Azure Storage location. You can work with videos. Here's the attachment, which we saw on the Magento side earlier. And down here is all your attributes. So as you can see, the mapping type is listed here as well. So this is a combination of manually managed attributes or manually mapped attributes, but manually maintained attributes. So that's the ones that are not mapped. And there's the predefined mappings, the ones that get their value through some calculation code unit. Then down here is your related items and your cross-sell and upsell items. It's those lists where you're linking items to other items, which you probably all know. Now, this one doesn't have any customizable options, but if we were to allow the user, for instance, to have their name inscripted into the back of the keyboard, you could have gone in here and say, create a customizable option, inscription, and then from that moment on, the Magento side will ask the user to input their name or inscription or whatever you want to call the field. Now down here is the multi-site, multi-store mechanism. Just as Magento handles this, you can define on which website you want to sell this item. And if you want to put in any store-specific details, like we've done here with the French translation on our consumer store, you can do exactly that. And you can click the card here. Here's all the fields that can be overridden on a store view level. And we've used that here to go from Das keyboard to Le Clavier. So that's it. This is the end of the by far largest card that we add to the system. This is really the place where you can work on all your item data. And once you're happy with the item, only then you click release. And as of that moment, the system will start to synchronize and keep the item in sync whenever a change is made. Now, the last thing I want to show you as part of catalog management for this video is category management. So that's what we do here under content and on categories. You can pull up the category structures that you've defined, and just as you would expect, right click and add a new child category, or if you want to move this one a little higher up in the hierarchy, feel free to do so. It's just drag and drop. The software also allows you to maintain multiple root categories. So if you operate multiple websites and you want to use a different type of category structure for that other website, feel free to do so. Just add as many root categories as you want. That was it for this video. Let's look at the more complex product types or item types in the next video.